This time I will discuss about common misconceptions about stress that many people may not know. Decreased productivity, loss of focus and decreased concentration often arise due to the stress we experience. In general, stress is still often regarded as a cause of problems and a decrease in human well-being. We already believe that stress is the root and trigger of later life problems. We generalize every stress in a person and attach a negative label to the person experiencing stress. In fact, stress in some cases can also have a positive impact on us. Then, is it true that we think about stress so far? Here I will address some common misconceptions or misconceptions about stress. Everyone experiences the same stress phenomenon. In fact, the form of stress experienced by each person is different. Basically, stress is a psychological response to stressful or unpleasant situations, things that humans instinctively perceive as threats. Stress is not the essence of the problem, but stress is the result of our view of a problem. Therefore, for the same situation, the world's 7 billion people might respond differently. That means there are 7 billion variations of stress experiences that are unique to each individual. Stress always has a negative effect. Stress often makes us feel anxious, irritated, angry, depressed, or frustrated. However, that does not mean stress always leads to bad things. But according to a study, stress can also have a good or positive impact. In fact, a study found that changing our perception of stress as something beneficial and good can improve performance and improve physiological functions of the body. However, the positive or negative effects of stress actually depend on each person's stress management skills and how we perceive stress itself. Stress can come from anywhere, so face it by giving up. Nothing can escape stress. Everyone will experience stress during their life at least once. However, that does not mean we give up and do not try to control stress. We can control stress by changing our view or self-perception of stress itself. As stated earlier, changing the view of stress that can have a positive impact can actually improve performance and physiological functions in oneself. The most accurate technique for dealing with stress is the most popular technique. Meditation, yoga, art therapy using coloring books, traveling, and so on are very good at helping us reduce and control stress. However, that does not mean that these methods will also have the same impact on every individual. There are many forms and kinds of stress experienced by a person. Between one another may not necessarily be able or suitable to use the same method in terms of stress control. Someone who experiences stress requires different treatment according to their characteristics and background. No symptoms, so no stress. When a person does not show signs of stress in general, it does not necessarily mean he is not experiencing stress. Many people then assume and do self-diagnosis, which leads to misunderstandings about stress itself. It may be that a person thinks he or she is not experiencing stress simply because none of the traits are mentioned in books or the internet. In fact, to be able to deal with stress both physiologically and psychologically, a person actually needs to understand the special signs that appear when stress comes. For that, if it is based solely on the absence of visible signs of stress, then he will be greatly disadvantaged because the stress is not even detected in the first place. Only major stress symptoms need treatment. Stress can be characterized by different symptoms, both psychologically such as excessive anxiety and physiologically such as headaches and increased stomach acid. However, many of us often underestimate the symptoms of stress as long as it does not interfere with our daily lives. Even the smallest symptoms are an indication that we need to start evaluating ourselves and learning to manage ourselves in dealing with various situations. Therefore, we should not ignore the symptoms or signs of stress even in mild levels. We don't wait for stress to bubble up into a snowball ready to explode one day. Precisely with awareness and understanding early on, then we can prevent symptoms of stress that are much more severe. Conclusion. Life will always lead us to situations that can make us stressed. The thing we need to remember is that stress is a reflection of how we perceive a problem. By understanding how stress is created, we can learn to be more open in looking for the bright side of even the toughest problems. That's my discussion of common misconceptions about stress, and I hope you've been able to understand a little bit about stress.